Hello viewers, welcome to another video, Gran Turismo Sport FIA, and some good news. And that news is, I might actually be getting quite good. This is one of my better performances in quite a long time in the FIA, Interlagos, Group 3, Nations Cup, 17 laps, free car choice in Group 3, most people going with the AMG, but there are a fair few Nissan GTRs, a couple of variations out there. Now, let's go through what happened with this first lap. It really did kick off. We've already got a Chevrolet in the yellow up there, flying off the circuit. He rejoins and it causes a bit of carnage through this first section. People slowing down. As a result, we gained 2 positions there, going up into 11th. Qualifying wasn't great, 13th. I did mess up my middle section in my qualifying lap, but I probably could have been more like 8th or 7th without that mess up. But alas, we start 13th. We've got a lot of fighting forward to do. Now, this is one of my better races in quite a long time. Recently, we had the Ferrari Group 3 race at Nürburgring GP, where I think I did really rather well in terms of managing tyres on a car which has pretty bad tyre wear. So signs are kind of positive at the moment that I'm learning, getting better. And the main things that I've kind of picked up recently are largely from a lot of the drivers at the World Tour. So being part of the World Tour events of Gran Turismo and just speaking to some of the top players. And a lot of them are saying that it's not really that ideal to be aggressive on this game. You really do need to be smooth, precise, and not overdrive the car. And that's something I think I was doing way too much. Just trying to brake 10 metres too late just to try and gain time or try and turn into aggressively. It does save you time, but not in the long term because your tyres are just going to wear out. And these longer FIA races are a really good place to practice being smoother for a longer and more consistent time. And we'll see over the course of this race how that kind of different approach really does help. As already we've gained 2 positions, really only courtesy of 2 others fighting on the first lap, and that's normally going to happen. And I suppose, well, it doesn't matter if you gain it because everyone fights or not. You know, if you gain a position, then you gain a position. It's their fault for fighting and crashing. And if you don't crash, then well done to you, basically. So we've got this Porsche who's just dropping down the order slightly. And I sense that in these FIA races where things are a lot closer, if someone's even just a couple of tenths off per lap, you can almost smell blood and just sense a weakness. Just look how close that is in the pack here. When you start getting up to 2nd and 3rd split, someone else was facing the wrong way there, go up to 10th place. When someone has a slight weakness in a lobby this close, then they're kind of going to get battered about or just really get sent to the back of the pack. They're going to get found out quite quickly. So you've got to make sure that when you're in these races, you are absolutely on it. Because if you're not, people will be sensing blood and they'll be straight onto you. Okay, so we end the 2nd lap in 10th place. We're getting 3. We're going for a one-stop strategy around here. You can see that I go for the inside there. Didn't really need to, didn't really want to be honest. But I've got the medium tyres on the front, hard on the rear. So for this race, you do have to use the hard tyres. You can get away with just using hard on the rear and medium at the front for the first stint. And that gets the hard tyre out of the way. So when I do come in for the pit stop, I can just go onto the mediums. Up the inside, into turn 4, on the brakes, down the hill, get the job done. That was a good move. He's still alongside, but you have to give him a bit of space on the outside. Turn 5 in my favour, so we're going to slot in ahead into 9th place. So that's our first actual overtake in the race. And it was a good one. Up the inside, late on the brakes, hit the apex, got the job done. We now have a train of 4 AMGs, which is all behind the Atenza there in 5th place. Still with the Porsches, 2 Porsches now, with close company behind. We're going to try and move our way through this pack. And really, I think at this point, it's just about patience. Because you can be aggressive, of course, we've said that. Can be aggressive, it does save time in the short term, but it will wear out your tyres and it will use up more fuel technically. So just being patient, just being cautious and waiting for something to develop is not too bad an idea. because I was speaking to Veloce Storm, Bonjour Storm, by the way, if you're watching. One of the very absolute best on this game. Very, very quick player. And, you know, he's just really describing about the way that he drives is very smooth, very controlled. Don't try and brake too late, just brake exactly where you need to. Don't try and save time that way. You save time just by being dead smooth, preserving everything. And you really do get rewarded by driving that way in this game. And that's something that I didn't truly recognise until quite recently. So now just trying to change the approach. And it is paying dividends because this is, I believe, a second split. We've got players like RC Snake at the front there. Very, very, very fast player who's been to World Tours. And when you're in that kind of company, then it's, you know, it's going to rub off on you, hopefully. Quintin up the inside, no, not quite. Johnny now, it looks like he's on the back foot, so he's just been dropping a couple of tenths per lap. So the Frenchman in 6th place, just pulling away. You see the Atenza now in 5th, beginning to stretch out that gap. And that's really courtesy of us fighting here for this 7th place with this AMG. But we are slowly moving our way through this order. I did start a little bit further back than I probably ought to have done. But we are slowly beginning now to make our way through the pack. The right-hand tyre is beginning to wear out. Of course, this is an anti-clockwise circuit. You're going to be turning left a lot more. The outside tyre is therefore wearing out a lot more than the inside, or the right more than the left. Was there contact there between the two? I couldn't quite see. I didn't know which way to go. Probably should have gone around the outside then. Committed to the wrong side. I tried to cut back, and the last minute I realised there was a Porsche on my inside. And we make contact through the Centre S. And thankfully the Porsche does not have good straight line speed, so he's going to have to tuck in behind and settle in. Look how close this order is now. 5 of us fighting here for 7th position. And again, it just shows you really how good these FIA races can be. It really does feel good to be part of these when the race is close and good, and often they are in these FIA races, and it really is testament, I think, to the way that the matchmaking system is. Of course, you get many bad races where things go absolutely to hell, but on this occasion here, it looks like a good battle. 5th and 6th getting away now, as we really do fight quite strongly for this position. No real opportunity opening up through Alex Albon's least favourite corner. Coming up towards Timo Glock's least favourite corner. In fact, well, Timo Glock probably doesn't care, does he? Lewis Hamilton's favourite corner, or Felipe Massa's least favourite corner. As we come up to the main straight, are we going to be able to go for this move? So Johnny does have the slipstream of Quintin. We have to tuck into the right and then just sweep to the left at the last moment there. We now have the inside. Can we get this move done? Looking for our braking point on the right hand side. Brake a tiny bit later. He's going to fight this one around the outside. He can do that with the camber. And we go side by side through the centre S. I'm going to have the inside for the left hander. And we get this, the move done now. Second proper move of the race. And we go up into 8th. So gaining another position. Antomic's actually coming through as well. So Quintin and Antomix, we're sandwiched between the VLX drivers. Let's try and move forward now. It looked like we lost a lot of time. You see just how much time we lost to 5th and 6th, courtesy of fighting. 6th place actually goes into the pit lane there at the end of lap 7, so he's going to do a 10-lap stint on medium tyres, presumably. I'm guessing that's the strategy. I think most of us are on the same tyre here. We all do seem to have a very similar pace. So I'm thinking most of us on the medium front, hard rear, then swapping over to the medium set for the second half of the race. So working together with Quintin here just to really make sure we don't lose time. It's kind of a crucial point of the race where if you start fighting now, this is a really bad time to start fighting because everyone, or half of the people going into the pit lane, some of us haven't. So you are still in a battle with people, you just can't quite see it. Okay, so this is the time that we are going to come into the pit lane. In fact, 5th goes in as well in the Atenza, about 2 seconds ahead. And myself, Quintin, jump in as well. Over to the medium, no need to refuel. We've just about saved enough fuel for this race, so we don't have to refuel anymore. Beautiful F4H livery on the Mercedes AMG. We exit the pit lane, and we have been jumped here by a couple of cars, so that's a classic undercut strategy. Go into the pit lane earlier, get fresh tyres, and then get ahead of your opponents, which is what the other people have done to me here. But they will have worn out tyres or more worn tyres for the second half of the race. In fact, Johnny there in the blue AMG gets back ahead. He did the undercut. He went into the pits at the end of lap 7, so he had a 1 lap undercut, and he gets back ahead of us. So it's kind of a lot of work to do once again. We started 13th, got up into about 7th, and now back to 11th. But we have slightly fresher tyres than a lot of the cars ahead of us. So let's see if we can go about gaining once again. The first stint was fairly solid. Drove fairly well, did consistent stints, and didn't really make too many mistakes. So let's see if we can get on the front foot once again. In fact, the Yatenza up ahead has dropped back slightly into our clutches, almost. So I guess he may have had to refuel slightly. I think the AMG is good on fuel. As we do have a nice big tidy group of 3 cars up ahead of 8th, so 7th, 6th and 5th. As the leader comes into the pit lane now for quite a late pit stop. And Tomic's there behind in the Porsche, dropping back to about 3 seconds behind, or 3.5 seconds behind. So we've actually gained quite a lot on that Porsche. He may well have had to refuel. So 2 of the guys up ahead going into the pit lane. So we gain a few positions there. Through the centre rest, side by side once again with the 2 AMGs up ahead. And just a slight tap through the centre rest. Quintin on Johnny. Johnny goes wide, loses momentum. I'll go past him. Quintin visibly annoyed. Visibly annoyed as he shakes from side to side. 5-second penalty. Tiniest tap. Johnny goes slightly wide. 5-second penalty for Quintin. That was a good couple of seconds for me, I must admit. Go past Johnny. And we will go past Quintin when he serves this 5 seconds. And we are now on the back of Rambazamba in the Atenza. And I do recall that the Atenza is normally quite a decent car around this circuit. Not the best, but not too bad. There are worse cars than that. I'm looking at you, Mitsubishi. Okay, so lap number 10 into Albon's least favourite corner. And Quintin going a little bit deep, not making any contact though. There's always an opportunity there just to go into the back of the car ahead if they make a mistake. We're just trying to make sure we stay off. This is something I've realised, that sometimes even if the car ahead is a little bit slower or making mistakes, if you start knocking them into the back, if you start knocking into the back of their car, you're slowing them down and you're slowing yourself down because you're stuck behind them. So you do have to be really careful to make sure you don't start tapping them in the rear. So Quintin is looking for the move here. Rambazamba goes defensive, goes to the left-hand side. Quintin going to have to look around the outside. He's going to be serving that penalty, so he will drop down in a moment. But it's a really good move. Around the outside, he got it done. And moves up into 6th place, albeit temporarily, around this corner. He's going to serve that penalty, plus another 0.5, up to 5.5 for Quintin. He's going to drop down the order. You can see that Johnny is not too far behind. Rambazamba just in front now. So it's a 3-way fight for 6th place, would you know? As we fought our way from 13th, and it looks like a 6th place is on the cards, which would be a really solid result. I'm going to bump draft him here, not really go for the overtake, just help him really if anything, because I was still looking ahead. I mean, I'm obviously fighting for 6th place here, but I'm just looking at the next guy, 5th place. Could we possibly gain on him? That's the question I'm asking myself, because that guy went in quite early to the pit lane, I think. So is it a possibility that we could catch up with him and overhaul him and get that 5th place? I'm always looking for more, you know. I could just fight for 6th place and just settle for that. I could even just settle for 7th and just try to defend what I've got now. But I'm still looking ahead for 5th. I want 5th. There's always an opportunity for more. And it almost frustrates me sometimes when people don't want to work together to try to get more positions. I can understand that they want to defend. It's totally understandable in racing, you know. And 5th might not even be possible, but I always like to try it. You always like to try it, at least for a couple of laps. Let's work together. He goes defensive, could go to the outsides, and frustratingly for me, the guy didn't really defend the inside completely, and that means that Johnny does the double. Goes past the pair of us, makes us look a bit silly there, to be honest. So I gain 1, I lose 1, I stay in 7th. Johnny goes up into 6th place. And I was a bit surprised that the Rambazamba didn't really see that one coming, didn't really cover the inside, and just let it happen almost. But we have someone else to fight here. So both of us in the Mercedes. Johnny did go into the pits a lap earlier than I did, so I have 1 lap fresher tyres. So I do have a slight advantage. Let's see if we can capitalise on that. I do think we've gained on phase epoch who's the guy in 5th place. Still in the distance, but if you can just put together a couple of laps, maybe 1 second a lap quicker, or even a tiny bit less, but let's say 0.8 seconds quicker, then you can gain on people. Because we still have 5 laps left to go here, so it's not completely impossible to gain on that 5th place guy. Still looking with one eye on that. Coming into turn 1, and Johnny goes defensive. Can I go around the outside? No, not quite. I think better of it. Go for the cutback again, and again, possibly through the centre S on the exit. Onto the Rita Aposta. No, it's not quite going to happen. Is he going to go to the left-hand side? Yes, he is. I'm going to look for it, but I just go into the back of him, and I lose my momentum. Just hang my car there to make him possibly look in his mirrors at the wrong time. It doesn't happen. He hits the apex nicely. So we've settled into 7th place. This battle is really getting intense now. In fact, I was quite worried because Quintin, you see him just in the distance behind, not too far behind. He's just behind Rambazamba now in the Atenza. And despite serving that 5.5 second penalty a couple of laps ago, he's found himself barely seconds behind us now. So if we start fighting too much here for 6th place, then we could very quickly come under attack from Quintin, who was looking good in the first half of the race. So it's quite a delicate situation, wanting to attack but not too much that we start fighting excessively and losing loads of time. So you have to play this one quite carefully. Sometimes it's best just to sit like this kind of distance behind someone just to make them not go defensive, and then therefore you can actually gain more time. You gain more time, you don't gain the position, but you gain more time. Phaser still, I'm just trying to manage that gap to the guy in 5th. I'm not sure we've really gained too much. Johnny, again, feeling the need to go defensive. I'm not quite close enough. I guess he was afraid that I might just completely dive bomb him. Wasn't quite up for that moment just there. We're going to be patient. We've still got 4 laps to go, including this one. And I've played the race quite cautiously so far. I've done enough. I've attacked when I've had to attack. I've stayed cautious when I've had to stay cautious. And so far that's played into my hands. As playing the long game in these FIA races now, I think is the way to go. Quintin is through, if you look at the back of the shot. Phaser a couple of seconds ahead still. So Quintin now through into 8th place, so he's going to be hunting us down. Hopefully not. Hopefully he doesn't. But at this point here, Johnny slightly on the back foot. He's got the track position, but he doesn't have the tyre life that I do. Just poking my nose up the inside there, making him think twice. But we're not close enough to go for the overtake. So through turn 11, as we come up to turn 12, I think we are gaining on 5th. We definitely are gaining. It's a slow gain, but if we can just get into the toe, let's say around about lap 16, then we may well be in with a shout of gaining 1 more position each. As we come up the hill to round out lap 14, we're going to go on to lap 15. And quite interestingly, Phaser from 5th goes into the pit lane for what looks like a second stop. He's only got 19% of fuel. So we all move up 1 position there. I'm going to look up the inside, just trying to open up this gap as in any way I possibly can. He goes a bit deep as a result of that. So sometimes you have to be a bit creative with the way that you overtake someone who's quite intent on defending. You have to move late, move across to the inside. So here I'm on the outside. Just at the last moment, move to the inside just to make him think twice, make him think about the wrong thing at the wrong moment. You see he goes quite deep. And as a result, I'm going to be able to get the inside here as we come up the hill. I am about half a car length ahead. And I'm just going to try and force him quite narrow. As we come into the corner, he's got a car width from the inside just, but he has to back out last moment, and we go up into 5th. Now it's my turn to defend for my life for the rest of this race. As we just get that position, it was really close, but it was just about getting him out of position, making him make a mistake, and he did. Into the downhill braking point of turn 4, just went a little bit too deep, and it gave him a poor exit up the hill, just managing to get ahead. Up into 5th then, the gap to 4th is 9 seconds, so it's way too big. It's really now just about cementing 5th, which to be honest would be an amazing result from 13th in the grid. Just looking at the back of the shot there, Quintin going for the move on Johnny, and that opens up the gap. In fact, on that shot there you can see them. Just look how quickly that gap has opened up from the fighting between Quintin and Johnny. It's really crucial to get through traffic as quickly as possible and be the first person to do it. and hope that the guys behind start fighting too much, because already I've got a 1 second advantage, or more than a second, as we come through the centre S. On lap 16, we've got this lap and the next one, but that was it really. I cemented a decent gap. Johnny got back past, but the gap was over 2 seconds by this point. And in the end, 14 seconds away from the leader of the race. And to be honest, I was really pleased with this performance. Coming through from 13th to 5th in second split, getting a decent haul of points, not making really any mistakes, managing the tyres well, managing the fuel as well as I had to, and just making the right opportunities work for me when they arised. We finished in 5th, and really pleased with that. Really pleased. Hopefully can try and bring that kind of level of ability to some future races, and just try to get rid of the bottle tag I normally have. But there we go. I do hope you've enjoyed this one. It was a really good race. I hope you enjoyed it. That is all from me. Thank you so much for watching. Do have a nice day, and let me know your thoughts on the race. I'll see you in the next video, everyone. Have a nice day. Goodbye.